Ray Poynter here, and in this webinar we're going to look at creating a survey which we could use in a more qualitative context. Obviously this is not going to replace a face-to-face interview or a telephone depth interview, but it will enable you to collect slightly more discursive, more text-based information which you may find useful. So we've launched Qualtrics, we're in the project's vision of Qualtrics, and we could start with create a project, but we're not. We're going to start by taking our simple survey which we created previously, clicking on copy, and we're going to tell it that this is about Nottingham, which is going to be the topic of this survey. So there's a short pause while it does that and loads it. And here is about Nottingham, so we will click on there. And we're going to change the introduction because it says that this survey is about shopping for groceries, and of course this time it's not, it's about Nottingham. So we've got our 4 questions that this study is going to finish with: age, gender, did you enjoy the study, and is anything else you'd like to tell about this project or survey. So the first question we're going to add is going to come straight after the introduction, and it's going to be a text question. In fact, all of the questions we're going to add are going to be text ones. So text entry, we're going to pick essay format, and we're going to make the box a little bit bigger so it encourages people to write them in. I've already got the questions that I want to use typed up in Word, so I can copy them and then I will paste them in here. So what do you like about Nottingham would be the first question, and we're going to follow that up with a probe. Now a probe is where you're trying to go further into the subject, and that's also going to be text entry, it's also going to be essay. We're going to make the box a little bit bigger. Now we can't say what else do you like, because somebody might have answered the first question with nothing, and then we say and what else did you like. It doesn't make sense. So we try to think about how we can ask this second question, and there are lots of different ways of doing it, but I'm going to use something that's called projection. So I'm asking people, what things do other people like about Nottingham? So now we might get some slightly different perspectives, particularly from people that don't like very much about Nottingham in the first question. They can now talk about that. So now we'll have another question, and of course we want to be balanced. So if we're asking what people like about things, then we're going to ask what they don't like. So it's going to be a text question, it's going to be an essay question. We're going to make the box bigger. It would be quite a significant bias if we made the answer box shorter for the dislikes. And what do you dislike about Nottingham? And again we want to probe that question, so we add another question, we tell it that it's going to be text entry, we tell it that it's essay format, we give it a box that's big enough for people to actually make some use of, and again, just in case they said there was nothing they dislike about Nottingham, our probing question is going to use a slightly different wording. It's going to be projective again. What things do other people dislike about Nottingham? And then we're going to add one more question, and it's also going to be a text question, text entry, and it's going to be an essay question, and we're going to give the box plenty of space. And this time it's going to be how could things be improved question. If you could improve one aspect of Nottingham, what would that improvement be? So this is only going to generate 5 pieces of text, but that is a good example and a good start. You could obviously have a much longer sequence. You could use some clever techniques to think about how to do the probing. you can actually use some of the logic built into Qualtrics to ask a follow-up if the question was basically positive or negative in a way that is more intelligent. But this is a really nice simple start. But we could make one improvement to this, which is we could put please type your answer in the box, and that's going to make things a little bit simpler. So that's basically our survey. Now, one of the odd things about this survey is the numbers. It goes Q1, Q6, Q7, Q8, because it's numbered the questions in the order that we added them, and we already had some questions there. So actually we can improve that by going to the tools here, auto number the questions, sequential numbering, tools, recode the values, save, and now everything is going to flow nicely, Q1, Q2, Q3 and so on. So that's going to make our processing a lot more straightforward, and it's going to make it intuitively more sensible. Let's click on preview to see what it looks like. On the right we can see how it looks on a mobile, and we have a text box here where we can type something in. What do you dislike about Nottingham? What things do other people dislike about Nottingham? If you could improve one aspect of Nottingham, what would it be? And then it takes us through to the questions about gender and age. So that looks about right. So we're going to go to the publish option. Again, it tells us that it's a pretty quick survey and they only found one way of improving it. If we had the time, that's what we would certainly look at, but today we're just going to click on the publish button. That gives us the URL. This URL we can then share with people to collect some data about the project. So that's our qualitative survey. Our quantitative survey, we're going to look at how we take the data from those, how we do analysis in later videos.